Hey, Kurious Culture fam! Today we've got some seriously wild updates on Sean Diddy Combs. His lawyers are fighting hard to keep people quiet so he can get a fair shot at this trial. This story is blowing up and unfolding each day, so grab your snacks because we're about to get into all the juicy details. Diddy's legal team is saying there's been way too much media attention, and it's putting his right to a fair trial at risk. His lawyers, Marc Agnifilo and Teny Geragos, just sent a letter to the judge claiming that people are talking a little too much, and it's spreading like wildfire. Just recently, federal prosecutors dropped a massive indictment against Diddy. He's facing some major charges, including racketeering, sex trafficking by force, and even transporting people for, well, some very shady business. Basically, the prosecutors are painting him as the head of a criminal enterprise that they say has allowed him to abuse women and others around him for years. The indictment accuses Diddy of using his fame and influence to scare and control people, especially women. They're saying he manipulated, threatened, and even abused people close to him to get what he wanted, while making sure to keep his reputation squeaky clean. And it doesn't stop there. He's also accused of other serious crimes like drug trafficking, bribery, arson, kidnapping, and forced labor. Yikes! Back in March, law enforcement raided Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles, which set off a storm of speculation. Diddy's lawyer, Agnifilo, said he knew this was coming and called the charges unjust. He insists Diddy is an innocent man with nothing to hide, and that he can't wait to clear his name in court. Diddy, of course, pleaded not guilty. Now here's where things get really intense. At this point, we've all heard about Diddy's famous freak-off parties, which Diddy allegedly organized himself. According to prosecutors, these were basically elaborate, multi-day parties involving commercial sex workers. They say these events had all kinds of setups. Think special lighting, baby oil, and even IV fluids for recovery afterward. But that's not all. Prosecutors are also saying that Diddy used threats and even embarrassing recordings to keep these women from speaking out. They claim that he warned them that if they didn't do what he wanted, he'd hurt their careers, and at times even threaten their safety. Talk about intense. Federal prosecutors are saying that Diddy's legal team is trying to hijack the case. How, you ask? Well, they're pushing a judge to make the government reveal some pretty sensitive evidence early on, including the identities of the accusers who could testify against him. Prosecutors fired back, urging the judge to deny these requests. They called the defense's attempt to expose the identities of potential witnesses blatantly improper. According to them, it's totally inappropriate for Diddy's lawyers to try to get this kind of information so early, especially since it could essentially give them a sneak peek at the government's case. But that's not all. Diddy's defense team is also asking for a gag order to stop the accusers' lawyers from talking publicly. They claim that leaks to the media have hurt Diddy's chances of a fair trial. Prosecutors, however, say the defense's requests are just a thinly veiled attempt to control the case, limiting the government's ability to prove their charges at this stage. They even said the defense is trying to take over the criminal case just so Diddy can defend himself in related civil lawsuits. And they're not having it, calling for these demands to be squarely rejected, especially because revealing witness identities could be risky for their safety. The prosecutors also added that, legally speaking, there's no basis for Diddy's team to use the criminal case as a defense against civil lawsuits. Diddy's team is asking the court to put a gag order on witnesses to stop them from talking to the media, but the prosecutors aren't buying it. They're saying it's not necessary, especially since people in the civil cases against Diddy aren't involved in the criminal case. One specific incident they're bringing up happened in March 2016. the now famous hotel security footage of Diddy reportedly physically assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. That video, which became public in May, allegedly shows him kicking, dragging, and even throwing a vase at her while she tried to get away. Although Diddy later apologized, saying he hit rock bottom, Cassie's lawsuit was quickly settled, and no wrongdoing was admitted. Diddy's lawyers are saying that recent media coverage, including the Cassie Ventura video aired by CNN, along with other alleged leaks from the government, has created a wave of negative press that could seriously mess with his chances of a fair trial. They argue that all this attention could easily taint the jury pool and make it impossible for him to get an unbiased jury. Prosecutor Johnson urged the judge not to buy into the defense's claims, calling them baseless, and accusing them of just trying to keep a damaging piece of evidence out of the trial. Johnson made it clear that not a single one of those alleged leaks came from the prosecution team. Still, the judge, Subramanian, told Diddy's lawyer, Marc Agnifilo, to draft an order that he'd sign, which would require both sides to follow strict rules about not sharing information publicly that could influence the jury. This order would limit what both sides can say about the case in public. Johnson said this kind of order was needed, especially after Agnifilo recently described Diddy's indictment as a takedown of a successful black man during an interview with TMZ. Prosecutors are also accusing Diddy of keeping super close control over these alleged victims. They say he made big promises about their careers, controlled their appearance, even monitored their movements, and provided drugs to keep them loyal. They're saying that it's all part of a supposed pattern to keep everything hidden and make sure nobody would ever talk. Here are 5 of the actions Diddy allegedly took to maintain this control and ensure loyalty. Monitoring movements and keeping tabs on people. Prosecutors claim that Diddy closely tracked the whereabouts of alleged victims and associates. This might have meant tracking where they were so they couldn't do their own thing or hang out with people outside his circle. They say he was dictating people's appearance and their behavior. According to the indictment, Diddy allegedly controlled how victims dressed and presented themselves. His control went beyond just how they looked. It also affected how they acted around others, both in private and in public, controlling folks' housing and financial support. Prosecutors say that Diddy provided housing and financial support to certain individuals, but would threaten to withdraw this support if they did not comply with his demands. This financial dependency reportedly made it harder for alleged victims to leave or speak out. Allegedly, Diddy provided drugs to people and controlled the access to those drugs. Prosecutors allege that Diddy used controlled substances as a method to keep victims compliant in an effort to keep them compliant and obedient. He threatened their career opportunities. Diddy is also accused of using his industry influence to make or break people's careers. He allegedly promised career opportunities as rewards for loyalty, but threatened to ruin careers or withhold these opportunities if individuals did not do what he wanted them to do, using surveillance and security. The indictment suggests that Diddy relied on a network of security and personal staff to monitor those around him. These associates allegedly helped maintain the culture of silence by discouraging victims from seeking outside help or sharing information about their experiences. They also say Diddy had a whole network of people, staff, security, and close associates working together to keep these secrets. This so-called enterprise apparently used rewards and threats to keep everyone quiet and maintain what the indictment calls a culture of silence. Diddy is also accused of using firearms to scare people, including alleged victims and witnesses. When law enforcement searched his homes, they found 3 AR-15s with scratched-off serial numbers and a high-capacity drum magazine. These weapons, prosecutors say, were just another way he allegedly kept people in line. So, what's next for Sean Diddy Combs? His team is getting ready for what looks like a long and intense trial. Diddy's lawyers are saying all these events involved consenting adults, but the prosecutors see it very differently. Either way, this case is going to keep making headlines, and we'll be right here keeping you posted every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in, Kurious Culture fam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know all the latest on Diddy's case and everything else in Hollywood. Catch you next time.